Hi guys, this is Lucietta Park and in this video we'll be learning some useful Korean phrases for beginners. So let's imagine that you're meeting your friend at her house and when she opens the door for you, what is the first thing that you're gonna say to her? Obviously it's gonna be a nice hello/hi, right? So how exactly do you say that in Korean? In Korean, we say 안녕, 안녕. So 안녕 basically here means hi. So you say 안녕 to her and she also says an 안녕 back, right? And after that, she also says this phrase, 어서 와, 어서 와, 어서 와, right? So you might have heard this phrase from the song Dope from BTS and it basically means the same. 어서 와 basically means welcome/come in this context, right? Now, by the time this happens between you two guys, her mother comes around to greet you and mind it, she does not know you, neither does she know your name, she just knows that you're her daughter's friend, right? So now you gotta greet her, right? That's the first thing everybody does when you start a conversation. So now, do you remember the word for hello/hi? Yes, it is 안녕, right? But the fact is, are you gonna say that to her right now? I guess not. And why exactly is that? It's because she's a lot older than you, right? So you gotta pay a little bit more respect. So back to the story. You say 안녕하세요 and you also do a little bow, right? And after that, she replies with 네, 안녕하세요. And she also does a little head bow to match your level of formality. So firstly here ne means yes and its opposite is 아니요 and sometimes it's shortened to 안녕, right? So here we use the word or the phrase 안녕하세요. That's how you pronounce it syllable by syllable. Yeah, syllable by syllable. And how exactly do you pronounce it? You pronounce it like 안녕하세요. That's kind of the intonation that you need to do, right? You need to get in your voice when you are saying that phrase, right? So 안녕하세요 also means hi, and now you might be thinking, why did we use two different phrases to say hi? Actually, in Korean there are 3 formality levels, and I was gonna make another whole video on that and I still am, but since you need the concept right here as well, I think I should give you an overview. So the first formality level is 반말. 반말 is the form of speech that you talk to usually when you're talking to your friends, like really close friends, and sometimes your parents because they're really close to you as well, and sometimes your younger siblings and sometimes even your older ones sometimes, alright? And the second one is 존댓말. 존댓말 is used when you're talking to somebody who you do not know that well or just aren't that close with, right? So it could be a stranger and it could be a shopkeeper, it could be a merchant or whatever, right? And then we have the third one, which is 높임말, and 높임말 is used to talk to really respectable people like your teachers, your grandparents, and your CEO at like your company's boss and whatever, right? And that's just it. And here 안녕 is in 반말, and the phrase 안녕하세요 is in 존댓말. Right? Now you might be thinking why we didn't use the third one, which is the most formal one, and obviously you need to get a good impression on her mother. So you might be thinking that we need to use 높임말 here, and the 높임말 version, by the way, is 안녕하십니까, right? So 안녕하십니까 is not that frequently used in Korea because it doesn't sound really natural in Korean, and it's also really long to pronounce, and it just really sounds like you just copied and pasted it from Google, alright? And that's it. Well, until now we got to know that your friend's mother doesn't know your name, and now you need to introduce yourself after you have greeted her, right? So in Korean we have actually two phrases to like introduce yourself, right? And the first one is 저는 dash 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 입니다, right? So the dashes are just for you to fill in your name, and the fact is most Korean names are just of 3 syllables, the first one being the surname and the other two following it being the real first names whatever of the person, right? So that's just it. And secondly, what I wanted to tell you is that this phrase literally means I equal to this, right? Or basically I am this. So you can also put in any other noun, like if you want to say, like if you are a man, you can say 저는 남자입니다. 남자 means man, right? And you can also say you are a woman by saying the phrase 저는 여자입니다. And you can also say like 저는 돼지입니다 if you are a 돼지. And I'm not going to say the real word, like the English translation for 돼지, because I want you to search it up. Goodbye. So the second phrase which we use to introduce ourselves in Korean is 제 이름은 dash 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 입니다, right? So here this literally means my name is dash dash dash, and hence you cannot put in any other noun because you did it before already. Okay, bye bye. That's just it. And the dashes here as well are just for putting in your name. Okay, bye bye. So after introducing yourselves, usually everybody says nice to meet you or something like that, because it's just I don't know, even if they are not happy meeting somebody, you just have to say it. Okay, so here in Korean we basically use the two upper versions, which are 높임말 and 존댓말, to say nice to meet you, because obviously you're not gonna say nice to meet you in a really casual way to somebody because you have just met that person, right? You just introduce yourself. Okay, so the 높임말 version of nice to meet you is 반갑습니다, right? 반갑습니다, that's how you say it. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요, 제 이름은 루시입니다. 저는 okay, I haven't taught you that. Okay, so 저는 돼지입니다. That was better. Okay, so 반갑습니다, 여러분 basically means everybody, right? One more vocabulary. Okay, and now we have the 존댓말 version. The 존댓말 version is 반가워요. 반가워요 여러분. 제 이름은 루시입니다. I mean, that was bad because yeah, I forgot to tell you that like how I told you to introduce yourselves, those two phrases were in 높임말, right? So I just used the 존댓말 and 높임말, and that doesn't really suit, right? Like in normal conversation, and unless you are using an 안녕하세요, I mean, you cannot mix them up, right? It just feels really bad. I mean, not bad, just weird, right? So there was another phrase that I wanted to teach you guys, and this is not that related to the story, but still you need to know this because you need to know this, right? So this phrase basically is how are you, right? So the first way that we could say this is 잘 지냈어요. And this is 존댓말, mind it, right? So that's just how it is. This literally means are you well or have you been well? That's how you can literally translate it. The second phrase that is used to say how are you in Korean is 밥 먹었어요. 밥 먹었어요 literally means have you eaten, but it also is used nowadays to signify that meaning of how are you phrase, right? And this phrase makes the how are you feel a bit more family-like, alright? Now fast forwarding to the time when you have talked a lot with your friend and her mother as well. Now it's time to say goodbye to both of them. So to your friend you say 안녕 again. So now you might feel a bit weird because we use the same word for saying both hi and bye, but in the literal sense, 안녕 literally means peace, right? So Koreans basically use the word peace, 안녕, to both say hi and bye, right? And now secondly, to her mother, you say 안녕히 계세요, 안녕히 계세요. And now it's their turn to say goodbye. So firstly, your friend just says 안녕 back to you, and secondly, her mother says 안녕히 가세요, 안녕히 가세요. Now you might be thinking, why did we use two different versions of goodbye? Because both of them could be translated to goodbye in general, but in the literal sense, 안녕히 계세요 means stay well, right? And 안녕히 가세요 means go well. So this little confusion between the two 안녕히 가세요 and 안녕히 계세요 will settle down a bit later in my other videos, because a lot of grammar is actually embedded in those phrases actually. So you will learn them along the way as we progress learning Korean.
여자, woman. 남자, man. 돼지, pig. 고양이, cat. 핸드폰, smartphone. 책, book. 카페, cafe.